All right, let's dive into something a little creepy crawly. Today, we're talking about an insect that's been our unwelcome companion for thousands of years. Pediculus humanus corporis, otherwise known as the human body louse. But here's the wild part. This isn't just a story about a parasite. What if I told you this tiny pest is actually an historian? That it holds a shocking secret about a huge turning point in human history? Get this. That number, 170,000, is roughly how many years ago scientists believe humans started wearing clothes. And how do they know? By using something called a louse molecular clock. You see, they figured out when the body louse genetically split off from the head louse. And since body lice absolutely need clothing to survive, that split gives us an incredible clue as to when we first started covering up, a huge step in our journey out of Africa. So, you see, we have to totally reframe how we look at this creature. It's not just a bug. It's a living artifact, an unlikely historian that carries clues to our own ancient past right there in its DNA. First, let's break down that fancy scientific name. Pediculus is just Latin for louse, humanus means human, and corporis means of the body. Simple enough. It's an obligate ectoparasite. Ecto means it lives on the outside of us. Obligate means it is completely 100% dependent on humans. It literally cannot survive without us. And just to be clear, it's a metazoan, a complex, multi-celled animal, not a simple, single-celled protozoan. So how in the world did this louse become our historian? Well, it all comes down to its choice of real estate. Its home isn't actually our bodies. It's our clothing. Okay, so this is a really important distinction. You've probably heard of head lice, right? Pediculus humanus capitis? Well, the body louse is a different beast. While head lice live their whole lives in our hair, the body louse adapted to live and lay its eggs in the seams of our clothes. It just crawls onto our skin for a quick bite to eat, a blood meal, and then retreats. And that one little difference in habitat, well, it's a total game changer, making the body louse a dangerous disease carrier, while the head louse, thankfully, is not. And here you can see the typical life cycle. It starts as an egg, which we call a nit, hatches into a nymph, and then becomes an adult. Pretty standard stuff for an insect. But the crucial thing to remember for the body louse is that this entire drama unfolds not on a person, but hidden away in the fibers and seams of their clothes and bedding. And this whole living in our clothes lifestyle, yeah, that has some pretty serious consequences for our health. We're talking about way more than just an annoying itch. I mean, the direct effects are nasty enough. The bites cause this intense itching, which, leads to constant scratching, breaking the skin. And if an infestation goes on long enough, it can cause a condition called vagabond's disease, where the skin gets all thick and discolored from the constant irritation. But as awful as that sounds, that's not even the main event. The real threat here is something you can't even see. It's microscopic. And here it is, the reason public health officials take this so seriously. The body louse is a notorious biological vector. Historically, it's been the culprit behind massive, devastating outbreaks of diseases like epidemic typhus, trench fever, and louse-borne relapsing fever, especially during times of war and crisis. So, with stakes that high, how do we actually fight an infestation? Well, the strategy is surprisingly direct, and it all goes right back to that unique habitat we talked about. You don't need fancy lab tests to diagnose this. It's really as simple as looking. A careful inspection of the seams of clothing, especially around the collar and waist, will usually reveal the lice themselves or their tiny eggs, the nits. The visual evidence is often so clear that other tests aren't even necessary. And here's the key to treatment, and it might surprise you. It's not primarily about medication. The number one step is environmental control. Washing all clothing and bedding in hot water. We're talking above 130 degrees Fahrenheit or 55 Celsius. That kills the lice and their eggs. That plus regular bathing is the core of the treatment, which really tells you that prevention is all about tackling the root causes, the social conditions that let lice thrive. So in a place like the Netherlands, for example, body lice are pretty rare in the general population. The country's public health institute, the RIVM, notes that infestations are almost always found among marginalized communities, like people experiencing homelessness. It just goes to show that today, body lice are often a sign of very specific social vulnerabilities. And that brings us to our final and maybe most important point. The presence of this tiny insect acts like a mirror, reflecting the overall health and fairness of a society. One source we looked at put it perfectly, calling the body louse a sentinel for social and economic neglect. Think about that. Wherever you find body lice, you almost always find poverty, crisis, and a lack of access to the most basic hygiene. It's an indicator species for human hardship. Just so you know, this entire explainer was put together using a Gemini deep search. If you want to dive deeper into the original research and see a full list of our sources, you can find it all in the linked Notebook LM document. Hey, if you found this as interesting as we did, please do us a favor and subscribe to the channel for more explainers like this. And seriously, we love hearing from you, so leave your thoughts and any questions in the comments below. So we'll leave you with this to think about. If this ancient parasite really is a mirror to society, a sentinel for neglect, what does its continued existence in parts of our modern world reflect about the challenges we still need to overcome? Thanks for watching.